Hello, this is Jan.
Hi, can I save on a new Toyota?
Yes, with great deals now through April 1st, you can ready, set, go get your Toyota today.
I can't wait to get out. I've been watching way too much TV.
Oh yeah? What's on?
Game show. Anyway, I got this list of things I want to do this spring.
Bet I could name them.
Really? Our contestant Jan here is risking it all on this final question.
Boom.
Name the 3 things I can't wait to do.
Go camping in a RAV4.
Correct.
Road trip in a Camry.
Yes.
How about take a Tundra fishing?
Ooh, 1 strike left, Jan.
I'll say off-roading in a Tacoma.
Show me off-roading in a Tacoma.
Oh, I can't believe it. Hi, Mom!
Toyota, let's go places.
Wherever your spring adventures take you, go there in a new Toyota. Get great limited time savings at your local Toyota dealer today. Toyota, let's go places.
It's officially March Madness, and the Johnny Ballgame Show's Pepsi Bracket Challenge is back. It's free to participate, and as always, we have killer prizes. Visit JohnnyBallGameShow.com, and you'll see the sign-up options right there on the front of the page. You can also go to ESPN.com and sign up for the Tournament Challenge and join the Johnny Ballgame Show group. Remember, the password to join the group is Pepsi. Okay, folks? Pepsi. Sign up and play, and let the madness win you a bunch of cool prizes.
We depend on our drinking water supply daily, but where does that water come from? Your water provider encourages you to get to know your local water source so together we can protect and preserve it. The investments we make as a community to protect our water source now ensure we have a sustainable drinking water supply for the future. Visit drinktap.org to learn more. This message is brought to you by the American Water Works Association and your local water provider.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care. I ever get back, so let's root for the home team. They don't win, it's a shame. 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
The Johnny Ballgame
What's going on with you? Friday. Welcome to a March Madness Friday edition of what we hope is your favorite sports talk radio program, the Johnny Ballgame Show, brought to you by Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. The best weekend of the sports year is now just 1 week from today. Selection Sunday this weekend, so everybody by their TV, by their tablet, Sunday afternoon, you find where the brackets are. But seriously, but before that, do you know how many amazing games, if you have the means, that you'll be able to watch this weekend? I mean, Duke and North Carolina are playing in the ACC semifinals tonight, 6 o'clock after this show. And that's just one of about 15 great games coming on this weekend. Championship week, it's upon us. I love it. All the big boys playing this weekend. ACC, SEC, Big 10, Big 12, a little bit of Pac-12. If you really want to get that geeky, that's going on as well. With Selection Sunday being just a couple days away, and then next week's just great. I love Bracket Monday. You know, you get on the air, everybody's got their bracket, you're talking about certain matchups, who your Final Four is going to be. It's a ton of fun, and it's here with us right now. And I'm pumped that you're with me. Johnny Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill, as I've said all week, and I will continue to say Benchwarmers will be, again, your continued home for March Madness. They have their own bracket games as well. I want you to play mine. Go to my website, get on my Pepsi Bracket Challenge. But at Benchwarmers, they have TVs everywhere. You're going to want to take that long lunch on Thursday and Friday. Hey, you might even want to take a personal day. You might just want to call in and say, you know what, this Thursday, this Friday, not going to work here anymore. Or not going to make it in today. That's next week at Benchwarmers Pub and Grill, your home in Eastern Oregon for the madness. Appreciate everybody for tuning into this lovely sports talk radio program. 1450 or 1490 on your AM dial locally. You can watch the program wherever you may be on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, type in Johnny Ballgame Show, and you can go to my website. When you're getting the information for my Pepsi Bracket Challenge on JohnnyBallGameShow.com, click the Listen Live link, and you can stream the program too. Easy peasy. So happy to have you with us today. I only got you for the 2 hours, just a quick 2-hour journey today because I got to get you to the Big Easy. New Orleans Pelicans, Portland Trailblazers tonight. Our coverage beginning at 5 p.m. right here on Super Talk Radio, your home for Blazer basketball. So 2 hours today. Shawn O'Neal, hour 1. Chris Jula, hour 2. That's going to be fun. I will give you my top 5. I'm into lists today, right? Or lists this week, right? I've done fantasy football rankings mid-March. Well, today I'm going to go to the NFL. And I'm going to give you my opinion. Take it for what you want. Crumple it up. Shoot it into the trash bag. That's fine. My top 5 available free agents left. And I have my little list. I worked on it today. Put some thought into it. Looked up some statistical data to form my conclusions. A hypothesis. Absolutely everything done right down there to a T. And I'll give you my top 5 remaining free agents on the board today. We'll do that, I believe, hour number 2. Lots to get to today, obviously, with football and college basketball. But as the NFL loves to do, let's go there today for your Oregon Trail Trader. Top story on a Friday. This story developed, I believe, late last night. Got some legs, and it's off and running at like 4.2 speed right now. Originally reported, I believe, by the Kansas City Star newspaper. I read this article on ESPN, and it reads, Kansas City Chief star wide receiver Tyreek Hill is being investigated by police over an alleged battery. In a statement to the Kansas City Star, the Chiefs have acknowledged the investigation that into Tyreek Hill is taking place. The club said, and I read, the club is aware of the investigation involving Tyreek Hill. We're in the process of gathering information and have been in contact with the league and local authorities. We'll have no further comment at this time. According to the police report, the Overland Park Police Department obtained by the Kansas City Star an alleged battery took place in which a juvenile was the victim, and Tyreek Hill's fiance was listed as others involved. It was not immediately clear what Tyreek Hill's involvement is in the alleged incident or when it took place. Tyreek Hill's 25. He has not been charged, according to the Kansas City Star. Now, this is not the first run-in. This is not the first allegation. This is not the first time Tyreek Hill's been in a little bit of trouble over battery. Now, this was a major issue when he was playing football at Oklahoma State. Tyreek Hill was convicted of domestic assault. Okay, there was an incident that Tyreek Hill and his girlfriend, who I'm not sure if it's now his fiance, I'm not sure if it's the same woman that might be involved in this allegation, but Tyreek Hill was convicted of punching and choking his pregnant girlfriend when they were in college. Yes, his pregnant at the time girlfriend. He was given 3 years probation. He was ordered to do some anger management classes, the whole kit and caboodle there, and the Chiefs still drafted him. He slipped in the draft because of it, and the Chiefs said, hey, we're going to work through, we're going to support him, and I'm not even going to make a joke about anything. This isn't a joking type of thing. They took him, and they said, we got his back, and we'll help him. And so far, so good. Tyreek Hill has had no run-ins with law enforcement that I've ever heard of since that alleged incident until we learned today. Now, we don't know what this is. He hasn't been charged with anything. He's under investigation along with his fiance, and apparently the victim is a juvenile. We don't know. It could be her brother. It could be a sibling of his. I mean, I'm not sure who else the victim would be. Some stranger just under this minor on the street. Again, more information needs to come and we'll know. But this could be really, really bad. And obviously from a domestic abuse scale, it's horrible. From a football standpoint, I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs had to cut Kareem Hunt last year for domestic violence stuff. He's been picked up by Cleveland, and he was going to be my top story today until Tyreek had to say, nah, sorry, ex-teammate. I'm going to go ahead and steal Ballgame's top story from you on this day. Now, this could be a serious deal. Look, it's a minor, right? That's what we know. The victim is a juvenile, under 18. I'm just spitballing. Did Tyreek Hill punch out a kid? Did Tyreek Hill punch out a female kid? I mean, where is this going? So many questions here. I mean, is it a friend of the family? Is it a family member? I mean, a lot of this stuff, these domestic abuse stuff, it's within the family, some of this stuff. I mean, what, Tyreek Hill, I can't imagine, hangs out with a lot of juveniles. Can't imagine Tyreek Hill's hanging out with a bunch of kids that either he's not related to or someone he knows is related to. Battery. It's physical. What did Tyreek Hill do? I'll open up the Farmers Insurance Hotline, 541-963-4122. You can also email the program, JohnnyBallGameShow@gmail.com, and don't be shy on the text line. 541-962-7700. What do you make of this? I mean, obviously, look, the Chiefs aren't going to do anything right now. They're still gathering evidence. He hasn't been charged yet. I mean, heck, Tyreek Hill could sue them if they just randomly cut him. He hasn't been charged with anything. He's simply under investigation. So I don't want to put a cart before the horse on this. I'm just speculating because I'm a sports talk radio guy, and that's what we stinking do. When stuff like this comes out, we speculate, we wonder, we think out loud, dude. That's what we do. And I want to know what the hell Tyreek Hill did and why the heck Tyreek Hill is being investigated for an alleged battery of a juvenile. The hell's he doing? Now, if this had never happened, if this is from a player who, I don't know, was never convicted 4 years ago of punching and choking a pregnant woman, maybe I'd give Tyreek Hill, just a little more benefit of the doubt here. But stuff's followed this guy. He's done stuff like this before. He's snapped before. And he snapped on a woman who was preggo. And he punched her and choked her. And he got convicted of it. Did he go to prison? No, he went to probation. So if this is bad on that level, and I guarantee you, if this is a violation of his probation, which I guess for Tyreek Hill, I'm reading right now, he finished his probation in 2018, and that conviction was dismissed. Now, sometimes another conviction can get a prior conviction to come back. I don't know what the situation here is with the judicial system there, but it's not a violation of probation because he's already off probation. So there goes that thought. I was thinking, dude, if he violated his probation on this, Tyreek Hill will probably go to prison. It'll be tough for him to get out of it. But that may or may not be the case anymore. What may or may not be the case anymore is where's he going to play football next year? Is he going to play football next year? How much football he going to play next year? We saw the video of Kareem Hunt. He just got down. We just know now today. Again, I was going to open with this story today, but Kareem Hunt got 8 games. 8 games. If Tyreek Hill did anything on this, and I'm getting text messages coming in, if Tyreek Hill did anything on this, he's getting some games. Tyreek Hill is not going to play 16 games next year, I would think, following the NFL like I follow it. And I'm getting a text from someone who I'm not going to name, a source of mine. And I'm getting a text from someone who's not listening to the show right now. He has no idea he probably knows I'm talking about it, but he's not paying attention to the show as far as I know. And he says, from what he's gathered, Tyreek Hill's toddler has a broken arm, and we'll hear more about the situation. I don't want to say what else my source there said, but some four-letter words and stuff like that. Apparently, and maybe this is all over the wire now, but Tyreek Hill, according to this text I got, that Tyreek Hill's toddler, his boy, has a broken arm. And you know what? Let's just hope. I know mom and dad out there, a ton of parents listen to this show. So I don't want to sit here and accuse, like, oh my gosh, did Tyreek Hill really go and break his kid's arm? I would really hope that's not the case. Kids fall, kids get bumped, right? I mean, I'm not a parent, okay? I got nieces and nephews, and dude, I can't even keep up with them. They are stinking all over the place. But I'm sure mom and dad, if you're tuned into this, sometimes arms break, bones break. It doesn't always mean that it's mom or dad breaking the bone. So it could very well be Tyreek Hill's son has a broken arm and the police or whatever, they're just trying to figure out exactly what happened. Tyreek Hill's mega famous. I mean, he's the most explosive player in the league. He's one of the closest things I've ever seen to like a Barry Sanders type of football athletic ability. He makes grown men, he makes grown NFL men look silly sometimes. They can't catch him, they can't track him down. I mean, he has a lot of, honestly, Barry Sanders stuff to his game. He's the most exciting player in the league right now. Yeah, he's a famous guy. He's playing with Showtime Mahomes. Kansas City's on TV all the time. So this could very well be just a situation where a toddler has a broken arm and it has nothing to do with mom and dad. Kids fall, kids run, they get bumped, stuff happens, right? So we will wait and see. But no question, if Tyreek Hill is responsible physically for breaking his kid's arm, oh, dude, he's dead to me. And I don't care if he ever plays in the NFL again. I would hope that he doesn't. Johnny Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. More on this story, but again, your Oregon Trail Trader top story, originally reported by the Kansas City Star. Kansas City's star wide receiver Tyreek Hill is currently being investigated by police over an alleged juvenile battery. His fiance is also listed as a person of interest, person involved in this thing too. Tyreek Hill, 25 years old, has not been charged. And if my information is correct coming through what I have, again, I got a guy who texted me and said, word is his son, Tyreek Hill's toddler son, has a broken arm. And hopefully it's not Tyreek Hill, dad, who broke his arm on purpose or through some type of discipline or whatnot. Anyway, that's your Oregon Trail Trader top story. Yeah, bearer of awesome news today, huh? Don't you love it? Obviously I'm joking. It's horrible. I mean, gosh, we have 10 of these stories a year, too. This is the worst part about sports talk radio. And there's sports talk radio, I'm in the toy department of life, dude. I don't ever have to be real serious on this show. I don't think my listeners want me to be super serious all the time. You come to the Ballgame Show to get a little chuckle, to get away from the stuff in your day that you can't stand. You come to the Ballgame Show to kick your feet up a little bit, maybe laugh for a segment or two, learn a little bit about sports. I don't know. But you don't come to hear about dads breaking kids' arms or dads or men punching and choking pregnant women. You don't hear about that. And hopefully those two are not related. I really hope they aren't. For the sake of that kid, especially. But I mean, look, Tyreek Hill has snapped before. He's been convicted. And I'm not saying he did it. I'm not saying anything, but I do know that he was convicted of punching and choking a pregnant woman. So I wouldn't put a whole hell of a lot past him. If there's a dude who really has, again, I don't even want to call it like audacity, just has the personality, has the I don't give a rip enough that I'm going to punch and choke a pregnant woman, I wouldn't put anything past a guy like that. All I'd say is if he snaps, I hope I'm not in the room. Shawn O'Neal coming up in 10 minutes. They buy, they sell, they trade, and they have Eastern Oregon's #1 selection of firearms, brands like Remington, Springfield, Smith & Wesson, Winchester, Vortex, Benchmade. I'm talking about the Oregon Trail Trader and my boy Carl Baum. Open Tuesday through Saturday. All hunters, all fishers, all campers. Make sure you like their Facebook page so you can keep up with all the wonderful deals. It's coming up. You're going to get camping season going. Get out there. More fishing coming up. Get all your supplies at the Oregon Trail Trader. In fact, if you're going anywhere else, you're making a mistake. They have better product and amazing prices too, man. Get to the Oregon Trail Trader on Adams Avenue down there by Rock & Sons. And let them know that you listen to the Ballgame Show too. Much, much, much appreciated. Let's move on from this. If we have any new news, we'll let you know on the Tyreek Hill investigation going on by police over an alleged battery of a juvenile who we think is his son. More on this coming. We'll get to some March Madness stuff. Again, I only got you for the 2 today. Blazers, Pelicans, 5 p.m. right here on Super Talk Radio. Give me a quick one. We'll be back. Gosh, tough one.
That's the sound of a dying engine, metal on metal. And that's the sound of your savings dying with it. Keep your money and your ride alive with industry-leading AMSOIL. I'm a believer in AMSOIL lubricants, engineered friction-reducing synthetics. For fuel efficiency and extreme performance, regular oil just can't touch it. No matter what you drive, operate, or ride, where there's metal on metal, you want AMSOIL. For performance and protection, get AMSOIL today at Island City Market in Deli.
His wife's words echoed in his mind.
You never fix anything around here.
Well, today that would change. He would fix the water heater. He'd show her that he was the handyman of this house. He was more than capable. Oh, no. Covered it. August 14th, 2008. Talk to farmers. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
See your local Farmers Insurance agent, Greg Blackman, in LeGrand.
Can't park in your own garage and your closets are full? Anchor Mini Storage in Baker City has the solution. Anchor Mini Storage's monster-size units. 10 by 25s, 30s, and 35s, and on-site manager quarters. You get greater security and service. Anchor your things down with 24/7 access, coded entry, security cameras, and more. Anchor Mini Storage in U-Haul in Baker City. Just off 14th and Campbell, call 523-1688. That's 523-1688.
The current Northeast Oregon road conditions are as follows. On I-84, there are no road closures to report at this time. Clear roads are being reported in the Meacham and Cabbage Hill area, as well as the Ladd Canyon and Baker City areas, too. There is a minimum chain restriction in effect, though. You are required to carry chains or traction tires regardless of current conditions. For more road condition updates, stay tuned throughout the day or visit tripcheck.com.
Welcome back. Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. Doing a little more research on this. I see a report from KCTV, Channel 5 in Kansas City that says police are investigating 2 incidents of suspected child abuse at the home of Kansas City Chief Pro Bowl wide receiver Tyreek Hill. Man. You know what? It's interesting, and I don't know if it's because football is violent and whatnot. I don't know if it's because there's a higher volume of players in the NFL than there are in the NBA or Major League Baseball. But you don't hear about this stuff near as much from NBA players. Hitting their wives, hitting their kids. You don't, I mean, it seems like, and I don't have any data, but I follow this stuff. It seems like 8 out of 10 of these stories are from a football player. I don't hear, I mean, are baseball players, is this going on a lot with them? Basketball players? I don't see it near as much. I'm not trying to draw any lines. It's just like it's always a football player. It's always a football player. And I'll tell you this, like, fantasy football players, go ahead and move Tyreek Hill a few spots down on your list. He's going to be suspended this year. If, in fact, this is true, Tyreek Hill might not even play this year. The Chiefs might cut him. I don't know. Who's going to pick him up? Cleveland? That's a joke, and I shouldn't joke. But anyway, a rough situation there. Let's move on. If we hear anything else, we'll come back to it. Love to get your take on this. Johnny, why even report it if it hasn't been confirmed? Why report it? I'll tell you why. Because I think it's interesting. I try to get interesting inventory for this show. And there is an investigation going on. It's been reported that there's an investigation. Look, this is going to get talked about. I can promise you this is on ESPN's bottom line right now. I can promise you that. I understand what you're saying. Like, look, hey, let's just close the blinds, close the drapes, lock the door, and let's not even comment on this until we know for certain. In a perfect world, you're probably right on that, DP. You're probably right on that. That's not how things fly around in the age of social media and what. If a dude's being investigated for child abuse, we're going to talk about it. But I understand. I understand where you're coming from. There's no charges filed yet. And that needs to be known. He has not been charged with anything yet, but he's under investigation. So I'll let you know on that. Kareem Hunt today is ex-teammate of Tyreek Hill. He's going to get 8-game suspension. Now, fantasy players, what does this mean? So, Kareem Hunt's going to come back week 9, assuming the Cleveland Browns will have a bye week somewhere in there. It won't probably be till week 10. As far as I know, you don't get the bye week counting as the suspension, do you? Kareem Hunt's going to miss 8 games for Cleveland. So I'm imagining they'll have their bye week before week 8. So he'll miss essentially the first 9 weeks, making Kareem Hunt eligible week 10. Now, in the fantasy season, most fantasy seasons go 13 weeks, and then they have 3 weeks of playoffs. So where does that mean for positioning a Kareem Hunt with? Also, Nick Chubb could have a monster year. A lot of people think he will, and it might be tough to get him off the field. Look, for me, Kareem Hunt, yeah, I'm interested in drafting him. If I'm a Nick Chubb owner, I want Kareem Hunt for sure. I want to handcuff Nick Chubb, and when that situation does come to fruition later on in the year, I know which one to play. But if you're asking me where would I draft Kareem Hunt, fairly stinking late, man. And if any yahoo wants to go ahead and take a guy in the 4th, 5th, or 6th round who's not going to be available to play until week 10, I think that's a little early, especially when the gig isn't just going to be given to him. It's not one of those situations where, Kareem Hunt's been playing with this offense a long time. Once he's back from suspension, it's his gig. He's good to go. No, dude. He's never been a Brown before. So it's going to be difficult for them to say, okay, Nick Chubb, you're out of here. Sit the bench. You're going to go from getting 24 touches to 6 touches because we got to get the ball to Kareem Hunt. I don't see a ton of value this year other than like a Nick Chubb handcuff. I'm not saying I wouldn't take him. If he's there in the 10th, 11th round, I might take a flyer. Yeah, sure. But an 8-game suspension, again, including a bye week, that means he's gone pretty much, 75% of your fantasy regular season? Ballgame show, Benchwarmers, Pub and Grill, and a lot of leagues don't support a suspended player on an inactive list. So basically, Kareem Hunt's going to take up a roster spot on your team for 10 weeks. I mean, if you have a type of deactivation list where you can take injured players, suspended players, and whatnot, and you can deactivate them and pick up another player, great, do it. But if you're in a league that doesn't have one of those deals, I don't know if you want to sit on a dude and waste a roster spot for 10 weeks. I don't know. Johnny Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. Call me on the Farmers Insurance Hotline. And when you do need that wonderful insurance service, you're going to call Greg Blackman, 1430 Washington Avenue. Very affordable. Go see Greg for the breakdown of all your insurance needs. Farmers Insurance, downtown LeGrand, full-service insurance agency. A complete line of products. Greg Blackman, fireball pitcher. Now he's killing it in the insurance game. Good for Blackman. Good stuff. Call me, 541-963-4122. Shawn O'Neal, Lindy's Magazine, one of my favorite guests. Let's get to the madness. Shawn O'Neal, Lindy's up next. Don't miss.
It's time now for your local weather forecast. In LeGrand tonight, mainly clear skies with a low near 25 degrees. For tomorrow, partly cloudy conditions with a high near 49. In Baker City tonight, clear to partly cloudy skies, low near 24. And by tomorrow, partly cloudy conditions throughout the day with a high near 50. This weather forecast is brought to you by LeGrand Gold and Silver, family owned and managed for over 35 years. Your trusted local experts for fine jewelry and precious metals. Shop LeGrand Gold and Silver's full line of quality jewelry, gifts, and coins, and find the perfect gift that will be cherished for a lifetime.
With all the local realty groups available, how do you choose which one to use? You could Google. You could ask a coworker. You could even flip a coin. Instead of taking a chance, list your property with Ranch and Home Realty in LeGrand. They have over 60 years of experience successfully listing and selling local properties, which means you've got 60 years of a refined, successful process. With that kind of experience, you're not really leaving anything to chance. Moving from listed to closed, Ranch and Home Realty.
Today, more and more people are wanting someone to stand beside them and guide them along their financial journey. They are looking for a partner and a friend they can walk through life together with. I'm Mary Horn, your Union County Edward Jones financial advisor, and my passion is helping people just like you prepare for the future today. I want to see you and your family financially prepared for whatever life throws your way. Stop by my office right next to Starbucks on Island Avenue and start planning your financial future today. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Winter doesn't stop the serious outdoorsman, and your local Ace Hardware has all the outdoor gear you need to keep going. The freeze may be on, but with Ace, it's fish on. With a full line of steelhead poles, tackle, apparel, and ice fishing gear. Shooting sports in the winter, some of the most rewarding experiences. So stock up on predator calls, ammo, and snowshoes to get you out there. Keep food warm or cool with Cordova, Calcutta, and Yeti coolers. And we now carry a serious line of gloves, hats, and clavas to keep the cold out. Only at Thatcher's Ace Hardware in Baker City and LeGrand Ace Hardware.
For folks that live the country lifestyle, be sure to catch the all-new D&B radio show, hosted by Matt Breckwald. Whether you're a rancher managing thousands of acres or a backyard enthusiast with a vegetable garden and flowers, the D&B radio show will cover topics that appeal to all who share a connection to the land and animals. Listen to the D&B radio show every Saturday at noon, right here on Super Talk Radio, 1450 and 1490 AM.
Sports Talk Radio brought to you by Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. You got yourself the Johnny Ballgame Show. And remember, folks, March Madness, your home is Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. Call in sick. Take a personal. Take a long stinking lunch. And on Thursday and Friday, we will see you down there throughout really the whole weekend and this weekend, too. You want to talk, you could argue there's better games this weekend than there will be next weekend. My gosh, if you look at the lineup, some of these conference tournaments, wow, Duke, North Carolina again tonight. Let's head up the Farmers Insurance Hotline, one of the best, Shawn O'Neal, Lindy's Magazine, and 2 times this week. We love getting O'Neal heading to March Madness and Man, Shawn, here we are in Duke, North Carolina tonight. And my gosh, I hope you don't have a ton of plans this weekend because there's some really good games going on, bro.
Yeah, I've got a fancy baseball draft tomorrow, actually, but I have the games all on, though. I mean, it's really, to me, this is the funnest. It's such a unique period of time for basketball, if you think about it, too. I love these, of course, everybody loves March Madness, and so you got to keep that there and keep it sacrosanct, right? But the two times I love the most, I love now and I love November, and the reason I love these periods is, man, as you're playing games in back-to-back days, you learn a lot about these teams. It's a different level of toughness, and I really think this is when the strong survive. And even today, man, you're seeing in the VCU just got knocked off in the A-10. That knocked a bubble team out.
Yes,
so
it did.
These teams are having to show a different skill. I mean, winning on back-to-back days is really difficult, and I really do think that toughness pays off right now. And so there's going to be a lot of surprises this weekend, I think.
Coach of the year, I love the race this season. It's hard for me to out-argue someone with Kelvin Sampson, 30-2. They murder-faced UConn by like 50 in their conference tournament. And my God, what a good coach. You remember him back from the Palouse, as I do, with Benny Seltzer and Mark Hendrickson and Tony Harris and those Cougar teams that were just on their way before he bailed. And I know he's been sneaky. If you shake his hand, count your fingers when you're done. But my gosh, if you give Kelvin Sampson a program, he's going to win you some stinking games. And you went to a program we've talked about earlier this year, Shawn. Houston's not a huge thing or anything, but you can absolutely win there. It's been done by multiple times. Just your thoughts, Houston, Kelvin Sampson, Coach of the Year, and people better look out when they're filling out their brackets, right? Houston can go on a deep run.
Now, you're saying potential Coach of the Year, right? He hasn't been named or anything. I didn't miss anything, right?
Potential Coach of the Year, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And Kelvin's got a special place in my heart because I was at Washington State University when Kelvin was a coach there. And a guy named Chad Kripe, who you probably know a few things about, Chad Kripe now at the Idaho Statesman.
Oh, yeah.
We used to mess around with Kripe because Sampson didn't make Chad cry, but he tried to make Chad cry a lot. we joke around that 3 different times Kelvin told Chad, son, that's the stupidest question I've ever been asked. And so, he had that going for him, which was nice. But Sampson, here's the deal with Sampson. What you said about your fingers is 100% correct. And he's got that reputation of being a bit of a guy who plays hard and fast with the rules. But everything that Kelvin has been nailed for by the NCAA is now legal. That's the best part.
Wow.
Everything he's ever been nailed for is now perfectly legal. And so anyway, Kelvin's found a home in Houston, and you nailed it. They've got resources. They've got a big city. They're in a recruiting hotbed. I wouldn't be surprised to see him jump to Texas A&M. There's a lot of Washington State fans who would love Kelvin to come back and replace Ernie Kent. That crap's not going down.
Yeah.
You might get Kellen Sampson, his son, if you get lucky. But no, Kelvin's a guy who can really coach, and the other thing, at every level, he's been good. I mean, he had a bit of a rough go at Indiana, but most of it was with the NCAA stuff, and it was really low-level stuff. Kelvin's one of those guys who seem to make a lot of unforced errors, but there was never a question Kelvin can coach, and he's got a national championship contender on his hands right now.
That's crazy. I mean, could you imagine to see we'd see all the old Phi Slamma Jamma highlights? That would be fun. But if Houston gets on another deep run and they have the potential to do it, tell me a little bit about the team. People don't wake up or go to bed or get ready for the next Houston Cougar basketball game, Shawn. What's this team play like stylistically?
They play pretty slow, and Kelvin is not a guy who rushes up and down the court, but what he's got right now is he's got a really balanced team. They really score any which way they can, that they're good from any spot on the court, 3-point range, 2-point range. They're really diverse, and that's the thing. And they also defend, and Kelvin's teams have always been able to defend. That's kind of been their hallmark. He's got a couple of guys in Corey Davis and Armani Brooks who can really put the ball in the hoop, and that's all he needs. If you give Kelvin some athletes, if you give him equal athletes, he's one of those guys who will come at you.
Yeah.
He's not a dude. He's not a trickster. He plays straight up. We were talking about Washington State's job and how Kelvin's the only coach I've ever seen win at Washington State, and I'm talking about football and basketball, who hasn't been like a style guy, right? Tony Bennett is definitely a style guy. Mike Leach, definitely a style guy. Mike Price, it's now a style that's kind of past its time, but Mike Price was a style guy. Kelvin's the first guy at Washington State whoever came and said, I'm going to take my guys at you and play whatever style you want to play, and I'm going to beat you. And so that's kind of what you're looking at with Houston. They're really balanced, good athletes across the board. They're not particularly tall, and they're not particularly deep, but they just come at you every night. And so consistently, they're a really talented squad.
Shawn, Michigan State, I mean, they're never flying under the radar, but for whatever reason, this particular year, if you have a conversation with someone on college basketball, it takes a while before you get to Michigan State. They're 8-1 against the AP top 25 this year. They want to share the Big Ten title. We'll see how they do in the tournament. So far, so good. I mean, Tom Izzo, this is such like an Izzo Final Four run year. It's like when we get all excited about him, that's when they lose as a 2 seed, or they don't go far.
Yeah.
When they're better when they're not at the water cooler conversation. I could easily see Izzo squeaking into what would be his 7th, 8th Final Four this season. Tell me about Michigan State. It seems like they are flying a little under the radar for a team with that current resume.
Well, I think it was easy to. They made a few mistakes, and this is what we do. And we have this college football mindset to college basketball. And so in the Champions Classic, they did the same thing that Kentucky did, not quite as big as Kentucky, and that is, so they lost their opener to Kansas. So you kind of write them off. Okay, are they really that good? Okay, then they go around for a while. They win like 5 straight games. They don't beat anybody great. They do beat UCLA. They beat Texas, and then they stumble at Louisville. And nobody really thought Louisville was going to be that good. Okay, so they stumble there, and okay, we write them off again. They fall down the rankings. Well, then they reel off like 13 wins in a row, and then people start paying attention to. But then they lost 3 in a row, so then they're back under the radar again. But now they haven't lost. They've lost 1 game since those 3 losses in a row.
Wow.
They also got Nick Ward back. Nick Ward was out with an injury. They lost Josh Langford for the whole year. So there's been all these things where it looked like they were maybe ready to go away, and they haven't gone away. And all they're doing now is winning basketball games. And so what you said about this is now a team you're on, they're in the play for a number 1 seed. They need a lot of things to happen in order to get that number 1 seed. But what you've got is with Nick Ward and Cassius Winston, that's a heck of a 1-2 punch. They don't have Langford, that hurts, but they got a lot of guys like Kenny Goins and Matt McQuaid, these role players who Izzo's always had, and it's another vintage Tom Izzo team. Final Four is certainly not out of the question. I don't know that I'm probably not putting them into my Final Four.
Yeah.
I feel like without Langford, they're not quite deep enough. That said, they get a 1 seed. That's almost like a pass to the Sweet 16, and then we'll see.
Shawn, Rick Barnes, especially the last 5-6 runs at Texas, certainly left folks underwhelmed. I mean, he didn't get out of the first weekend with Kevin Durant, and Tennessee so far, and we're seeing them dip just a little bit later on in the season. That SEC is tough, but should people have a little reluctancy when filling out their brackets, moving Tennessee far in this thing based on Rick Barnes' past at Texas? It always felt like a little underwhelming, didn't it? Like there should have been more for the Rick Barnes Texas era besides the 2003 Final Four trip. Should I still have that in my head when I'm filling Tennessee out in my bracket, Shawn?
To me, Rick Barnes is like, he's a guy, you can, look, I'm never going to tell anybody what to think, what not to think. Knowing Rick Barnes' past and knowing what's happened is certainly a valuable thing. If I'm going to be concerned about one thing, it's that they're 3-4 down the stretch in the SEC this year, and they don't look quite as dominant as they had for quite some while, because if you look at their Ken Palm resume, there's a lot of green there between November and February. I mean, they didn't lose for like 20 straight games.
Exactly.
I mean, that's impressive. Now, if you look at the teams they lost to, they lost on the road to Kentucky. They lost on the road to LSU, a little bit of a shorthanded LSU. They lost on the road to Auburn, a team that really needed the victory. And so I don't want to put too much thought into that. I'm going to say right now, to me, this team looks like more like a team that was kind of getting themselves ready for the postseason, maybe wasn't as motivated as they were throughout most of the season until they came against some tough opponents and lost some tough games. And so I still like them an awful lot. I mean, again, they win this SEC tournament this weekend, either them or Kentucky. That's going to be a number 1 seed. And let's take a moment to appreciate that, because a few years ago, nobody thought this was a good hire. Everybody thought Rick Barnes was done. And Rick Barnes has really gone about showing that he still knows how to coach.
Good point. Nevada, I saw Lunardi had them as a 6 seed. That might have seemed a little high for me. I don't know, Shawn. I mean, I watched this team play a lot. We know the run they got on last year. They're 28-3, probably a 2-bid league if Utah State gets in there. Where do you think? Is that a good fitting seed, you think, for Nevada? Those 6-11 games are tough these days. That's going to be a tough opponent for regardless, but I kind of thought Nevada was more 4-5 seed. You have them kind of more 6-ish?
Here's what so you think they're too low. You think you have them at a 6. You think they should be higher to a 4, 5, or a 3, something like that?
Yeah. I mean, they've kind of been in that boat all year, I thought. And when I see them on the 6 line, I'm thinking, okay, I thought they'd be a little lower, Shawn.
If you look at their resume, though, and I know what you're saying because you look at this team and there's a lot of NBA talent out there, and there's every reason to think they should be better. And the eye test, I mean, Dick Vitale once upon a time would have called these guys the all-airport team because they walk through and they all look like NBA players, and they might be. But here's the problem you run into is they haven't beaten anybody. They have one top 50 Ken Palm win, and that was a home win against Utah State, and they lost to Utah State on the road in quite a controversial game. And so this is a team that I think Lenardi's actually kind of being kind. To me, they profile out more like an 8, 9, 10 seed based on the fact there's no resume there. And ultimately, I mean, you look at what like Belmont when BCU lost today and gave the A-10 a second bid because VCU was going to be the only bid out of the A-10, Belmont got knocked off the bubble. That was another A-10 team in. Belmont lost its spot. And so a year when a team like Belmont is having a hard time getting its seat there, Nevada, I look at them when they have no resume. That's tough to see them as a 6. I mean, to me, they're more of an 8, 9, 10. They're probably going to be more of a 6-5 just based on I do think they're getting the benefit of their coach, and I think they're getting the benefit of the eye test and expectations.
And they could have a record. They could have a record of 31-3 if they went out and beat Utah State in their conference tournament. Looking at their schedule too. I mean, they scheduled Arizona State. They didn't live up to the expectations at USC. Andy Edfield's in a whole heap of trouble down there too. So anyway, the non-con just didn't work in their favor. I'm looking at it too. You're right. There really is no resume. Here's a geeky question for you. 2 years ago, I thought Chris Collins had things going at Northwestern. It was such a fun story. Oh, my God, the last of the Power 5 teams to make a tournament has made a tournament. They won a game. They pressed Gonzaga. I thought Chris Collins was the perfect fit coming from suburban Chicago, a Coach K kid. Like, it just seemed like, okay, get ready for some quality Northwestern hoops. This year, they're, 4-16, worst team in the Big Ten. What the hell happened in these 2 years to Northwestern basketball? I thought Chris Collins kind of had them on their way, Shawn.
No question. I mean, he had improved them. He took them the first year. They were 288th in KenPom in adjusted offense. Then moved to 100. Then moved to 71. Then they had their big year, was 59th in the nation in adjusted offense. They're still mostly a defensive team. Last 2 years, they've slid back. They've gone from 96th last year to 198th this year in adjusted offense. This team just isn't scoring, and his seniors are letting him down. He can't find anybody to put the ball in the basket. They've got to find some guys to score the basketball. That conference, by the way, I hate score the basketball. I shouldn't say that. They got to find some guys to score, okay? The Big Ten is an aggressive defensive conference, and you can't just score with cute little high academic achievers. You've got to get some actual offensive weapons in there, and that's going to be the challenge for Chris Collins, is getting those high offensive achievers. And right now, it seems to be an Illinois-wide problem because Brad Underwood can't find Illinois either. And so if you can't get really strong offensive players, especially in that conference where the defense is so rugged night in and night out, it's very tough to win.
Same situation for some other smart kids schools. I mean, I grew up, so did you. Stanford was in the tournament 8 out of 10 years, man. Good teams, too. Deep runs in the tournament. Stanford had ballers, lottery picks, twins, different sets of twin lottery picks. They balled. And Vanderbilt was always in the tournament, always competitive, always long and athletic and smart. Vanderbilt did not win an SEC basketball game this year, and I can't believe it, but their football program is doing better than their basketball program these days. And Stanford, I don't know what the hell's going on there. Bay Area, Stanford, they've always been good. All of a sudden, the last 2-3 years, they really haven't been. Tell me about the other smart kid schools, Vanderbilt and Stanford. What's going on with these schools, Shawn? I want these schools to get good again.
Well, Vanderbilt was injuries this year. That program was really going in the right way, and they lost an NBA-bound point guard in Darius Garland. That was an NCAA tournament team. No question for me this year if Darius Garland didn't blow his knee like in the 6th game or something like that. And so Vanderbilt's going to be fine. I mean, Bryce Drew knows how. I'm convinced Bryce Drew's the right coach there. He's recruiting well. That was an injury situation. Jared Haas at Stanford, I'll be honest with you, I loved that hire a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're just straight wrong. And right now it looks like I'm just straight wrong about Jared Haas, and he's proving over and over again how good Mike Montgomery was there. Stanford, look, and I'm not going to dog anybody, okay? Allah Abdul Nabi once said that the only way he was getting 5 A's is by spelling his name, suggesting that he wasn't exactly up to academic standards at Duke, and somehow he got in. Vanderbilt somehow gets good athletes in. Rice, I mean, even a lot of these schools, Stanford does not have a compliant admissions department. Despite all the academic scandals happening around the country right now, you've actually got to be pretty bright to get into Stanford. and be able to play basketball. And so what Montgomery did with Casey Jacobson and all those guys is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
It's much tougher. Jared Haas is having a much tougher time doing it. I will say this. He's got a lottery pick in KZ Okpala. Dejon Davis didn't have the kind of year he wanted to have. And quite frankly, the Pac-12 was right for the picking this year. Jared Haas is probably in a lot of trouble right now. He might have one more year to get this thing figured out.
A quicker bounce back, in your opinion, UCLA or Arizona?
Really depends. Does Sean Miller stick around? If Sean Miller sticks around, Arizona, because the recruiting class coming in is absolutely bananas. But that speech he gave the other night didn't leave me thinking he was coming back. And UCLA, I mean, who are they going to hire? I mean, that is the story for me. I've heard talk about Tony Bennett now. I've heard some speculation about Rick Pitino. There is no doubt UCLA should be able to come in, and whoever gets that job should be able to win right away.
Yeah.
There's just so much talent in that area, and there's so much tradition, and kids still want to play there. But Arizona is ready to go. If Sean Miller's back next year, if he dodges the FBI slings and arrows, he's got a loaded team. That's a top 10 program next year if everybody's back.
You know, we don't see this problem as much in college. I don't know. And basically, maybe it's because they're kids. I don't know. But fans, maybe it's because it's easier to get a courtside seat or somewhere in the NBA than a lot of colleges. You know, they have that press row and other stuff, and you can't just sit there courtside. Is there a certain problem going on in the sports culture today, in your opinion, or has it always been there? Maybe now just not everybody had video cameras on their phones back then to catch some of this stuff. But, you know, the situation in Utah earlier this week, and we hear all about this stuff. I just want Sean O'Neill's on your opinion, this, you know, fans and player, this interaction deal they're going with right now. I mean, Russell Westbrook had an actual kid got out of his seat and touched him last week, if you remember that. Actually poked him, you know, like poked him. Is this a major problem in your opinion that needs to be nipped in the bud ASAP?
I'm kind of torn on this because I want to say Westbrook be a professional. I remember a few years ago when for years ago, it's been 20 now, 20-some, when the NBA went on strike and they came back from the strike, Kevin Willis, I suspect he was playing for the Atlanta Hawks because he played like 40 seasons and 39 of them with the Hawks. But Kevin Willis was lining up for a free throw, and a fan came out of the stands, and during the free throw, when he was getting set for it, threw dollar bills in the lane at them as if to make a statement about how money grubbing they were or something else. And Kevin Willis is a class act. He made a comment after the game, didn't do anything at the time. A couple years ago, Marcus Smart at Texas Tech, if you remember, went up into the crowd and got into a tussle with somebody.
Yep.
And so I want to say that the players have got to be above this. They've got to recognize there is literally no meat on the bone for you going after a fan. It is an absolute no-win for you to do it. That said, man, if somebody said something to me and I'm in the heat of competition, I don't know that I could be that mature to do it. And so ultimately, these organizations, if fans are getting out there and really getting into players' grills, they've got to get them out of the stadium. Fans, you go there to watch these players. They're human beings. They are not on display for you to poke at and say whatever you want to. You don't buy the ticket to say nasty things to them, dehumanizing things to them. It's got to be on both sides. I'd like the players to be above it. I know that's hard to do sometimes.
Shawn, you're the best. Enjoy championship week, and we'll talk next week and break down some of these matchups. Probably have you on Tuesday or Wednesday if possible next week, Shawn. Look at your calendar and get back. Obviously, Friday it'll be different. So if we can have you on earlier in the week, that'd be fantastic, man.
We'll get it done, man. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Shawn. Shawn O'Neill, Lindy's Magazine college basketball senior editor, does a wonderful job with Lindy's, and not too late to pick up the latest edition of Lindy's College Basketball Magazine, getting you all set for the big dance coming up. Ballgame show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill.
Benchwarmers Pub and Grill is all about good food, good brews, and great times with friends. Benchwarmers Pub and Grill has a huge menu of foods, from mouth-watering burgers to outstanding sandwiches and the best selection of fries in town. As the title sponsor of the Johnny Ballgame show, Benchwarmers is committed to its community. It's the best place in town to watch the game with a great selection of HD TVs. Head on down, eat a tasty meal, and have a cold beverage. Benchwarmers Pub and Grill, located on Depot Street, downtown LeGrand.
It's time now for a community calendar update. Elkhorn Community Preparedness in Baker City hosts a monthly meeting at the Sunridge Inn on the third Tuesday of each month. The next meeting will be held at 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, March 19th. All Baker County residents are welcome to attend the meeting. Veterans of Foreign Wars High Valley Post 4060 is holding bingo each Wednesday at the VFW Hall in Union. The doors open at 5 p.m. with early bird games starting at 6 and regular games at 7. For more information, contact Cora at 541-562-6153. If you or someone you know is struggling with alcohol, there are many Alcoholics Anonymous meetings in our area. To learn more about upcoming meetings or to speak with someone in AA, visit OregonAADistrict29.org. This community calendar update is brought to you by LeGrand Gold and Silver, family-owned and managed, and your trusted local experts for fine jewelry and precious metals. Shop LeGrand Gold and Silver's full line of quality jewelry, gifts, and coins.
Hello, Johnny.
Baby doll, just give me a second here. You were right. Not taking your car to Island City Speed Loop was a mega mistake. It's a mistake I've learned from, baby doll. Please.
Well, I would hope so. When it comes to maintenance for your dollar, there's no comparison to Island City Speed Loop.
I miss you. The cats, Mookie and Ray Ray, miss you.
Johnny, I can't. You taking my car to that third-rate chop shop was a deal breaker. Bye-bye, Ballgame.
Preserve your relationships with responsible vehicle maintenance at Island City Speed Loop.
Johnny Ballgame Show, Bench Warmers, Pub and Grill. Appreciate everybody. Thank you, Shawn O'Neal, Chris Jula. Next hour, just a 2-hour program today. Getting into New Orleans for Blazers Pelicans. Your LeGrand Stereo and Music game of the night that you can catch right here. Car Stereos, professional installation, open 7 days a week. Great brands, Rockford, Kenwood, Peavey, LeGrand Stereo and Music. Also, Duke, North Carolina at 6 p.m. The last 100 times Duke and North Carolina have met in basketball, they've each won 50. Now that is a stinking rivalry. Here is the new G.
Serving Eastern Oregon for over 75 years. This is KLBM LeGrand and KBKR Baker City. Super Talk Radio, the talk of Eastern Oregon.
In line, shockwaves of terror. I'm Jan Johnson. President Trump has signed his first ever veto, rejecting a congressional resolution that would have blocked his national emergency to fund a border wall.
A dozen Republican senators went against the president in Thursday's vote, largely claiming they felt he was overstepping his bounds, trying to move billions Congress had appropriated for other projects to border wall construction. At the veto ceremony in the Oval Office, he preferred to thank those who stayed in line.
Strong, wonderful people, the Republican senators that were on our side and on the side of border security and on the side of doing what they have to keep our nation safe. They were very courageous yesterday, and I appreciate that very much.
On Thursday, Mr. Trump tweeted about senators who had not broken with him. Watch when you get back to your state. They will love you more than ever before. Bob Costantini, the White House.
In an Oval Office ceremony, the president also responded to questions about the attacks on 2 mosques in New Zealand, carried out by a white nationalist. The president says he doesn't believe white nationalism is a growing threat, dismissing it as a small group of people with very serious problems. With the suspect in court, he did not enter a plea. Correspondent Will Ripley reports the shockwaves are rippling outward.
Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern calls it a terror attack and one of New Zealand's darkest days.
These are people who I would describe as having extremist views that have absolutely no place in New Zealand and, in fact, have no place in the world.
Around the world today, kids swapped out textbooks for picket signs in a demonstration that started with a 16-year-old's call for a bigger fight on climate change.
Rooted as a tree. Rooted as a tree. We are here. Standing strong.
Tens of thousands of kids in the U.S. and many other countries walked out of their classrooms to ask the grown-ups to take action. I'm Jan Johnson.
Here's some great news. If you missed the deadline to sign up for health insurance, or more importantly, if you sign up for a plan that you're just not happy with, you still have a choice. It's called Medishare, and Medishare is a Christian healthcare sharing program. It's been around for 25 years. They have more than 400,000 members now around the country. And get this, over the years, Medishare members have shared more than $2 billion of each other's medical bills, so they could help share your needs too. And best of all, you could save a lot of money with Medishare. The typical savings for a family is around $500 a month. Your savings could be more or less, but think about what you could do with that extra money every month. So if you think you're stuck with a high-cost health plan that doesn't have much to offer, Think again. You can join MetaShare anytime, so call them today and check it out. There's no pressure. They're super easy to talk to. 844-91-BIBLE. That's 844-91-BIBLE. 844-91.
It's time now for your local weather forecast. In LeGrand tonight, mainly clear skies with a low near 25 degrees. For tomorrow, partly cloudy conditions with a high near 49. In Baker City tonight, clear to partly cloudy skies, low near 24. And by tomorrow, partly cloudy conditions throughout the day with a high near 50. This weather forecast is brought to you by
Grand Ronde Hospital. With our 25-bed hospital and 13 outpatient clinics, we offer acute, emergency, primary, and specialty care options for everyone.
Grand Ronde Hospital.
Grumpy's Repair is located on H Avenue just off I-84 in Baker City. And it's not just the location which makes Grumpy's convenient. Your car is an investment and deserves the tender, loving care Grumpy's can provide. Grumpy's uses fully up-to-date diagnostic test equipment for all vehicles to locate problems fast, which is convenient for you. Grumpy's only uses highly trained, certified professionals that will guarantee your car will perform at peak performance. Now that's convenient. Just off I-84 in Baker City. Grumpy's Repair.
This is Damian Lillard of your Trailblazers. I believe it's on us to make sure kids have places to play. With the Motor Assist program, every Blazer assist on the court leads to better places to play in our community. Because the next assist can start a movement in a young person's health, attitude, and life.
Dame throws a pass far side McCollum, a three on the way. Ring it up!
Baker City, join the movement. Vote now at trailblazers.com/assist for your Geyser Pullman Park to receive the donation to build an all-abilities playground.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care. I ever get back, so let's root for the home team. They don't win, it's a shame. 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
The Johnny Ballgame.
Welcome, Chuckleheads, hour number 2. Having fun today. Just have you for the 2-hour tour today. Appreciate everybody hanging out. What are we doing this hour? My top 5 remaining NFL free agents. I want to talk about that. We'll get into Chris Jula, Brett Jula Memorial College football conversation. Some cool topics I want to talk about with Chrissy Boy. We'll get you back to the situation, our top story today. This one brought to you by American Family Insurance and lovely agent Brianna Troutman. Remember, you can get away from the 1-800 number insurance policies. Stay local, get local. 109 Depot Street, Brianna Troutman, American Family Insurance. Get down there. American Family is a company that's been around since 1927. Go talk to Bree and Bev down there, American Family Insurance. Tyreek Hill. Now, the police are investigating, according to KCTV News, Channel 5 in Kansas City, two incidents of suspected child abuse at the home of Kansas City Chief wide receiver Tyreek Hill. This is a thing I don't believe that's going to go away. This is going to be something we're going to talk about in the sports scene, I think, for quite a while. I mean, Tyreek Hill is a big-time player. Big-time player. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs will be the Super Bowl pick for a lot of folks in the NFL this year. They'll certainly be the divisional pick. People think Kansas City's got a good thing going, and they're going to be right in the mix, just like they were this season, where they were just a whisker away, an offsides call away from going to the Super Bowl, D. Ford. I mean, you could have picked that game apart 1,000 ways. Kansas City had their opportunities to win, and Tyreek Hill is one of their most marketable, well-known players. Fantasy football players love Tyreek Hill. We're going to see what's going to go on this, and typically in the NFL, if you get in trouble, now, being alleged is one thing, suspected is another, investigated is another. I'm saying if this goes down where Tyreek Hill is arrested for this, gosh, conviction or not, Sheriff Commissioner Roger Goodell has the authority to suspend him. And you know what? With everything going on the last decade, with domestic violence throughout the NFL culture, I mean, Roger Goodell isn't giving too many people free passes on this stuff anymore, like former commissioner, if you remember, Paul Tagliabue did. Paul Tagliabue was what, NFL commissioner, I want to say 89 to like 04, 05. And with Tagliabue, like, dude, I mean, he just didn't have these type of policies that Goodell does, and Goodell uses them. If Tyreek Hill's arrested here, he's going to be suspended. He will be in violation of the NFL's personal conduct policy. He's going to violate that. And Roger Goodell's going to suspend him. And just from a sports perspective, sure, you know, most of the people who listen and watch my show play fantasy football. And I'm not trying to be insensitive. I'm really not. I'm just trying to throw all the angles out there. And we'll see what happens with that. But typically, I wouldn't expect Tyreek Hill to be available for the Chiefs for 16 games this year. I wouldn't expect that. And yes, if that is the case, that hinders his draft status in fantasy football, no question. We're doing a lot of nerdy fantasy stuff this week, and I kind of want to continue on that note. So let's get this thing going right now. Brought to you by MJ Gas Motors. Downtown LeGrand, it is Johnny Ballgame's top 5 free agents available. Let's hit it up. These are the free agents who are still left in the game. Major players of impact. Oh, there's still good players left. Now, I will say this, as most players do, every one of the players on my top 5 list has their flaws. There's a reason, excuse moi, there's a reason that they weren't picked up or signed immediately that first day, right? I mean, there's a reason for that. And, So, but they can still help you tremendously. I'm going to use my first one on this list. Speaking of the Kansas City Chiefs, number 5 on my list of best of free agents available, Justin Houston. Now, you're talking a guy, seems like forever ago. In 2014, Justin Houston almost broke Michael Strahan's sack record, came about as close as we've ever seen. Justin Houston had 22 sacks that year. That was 5 years ago. No, I'm not saying he can't still rush the passer. He's been injured. He missed time in 2015, 2016, and last year he missed 4 games. Had 9 sacks, though. Let me tell you this. Justin Houston, in 102 games, has 78.5 sacks. He finds a way to get to the quarterback. And if you're getting to the quarterback in this league, dude, you have value. You're probably going to have to overpay here. We'll see how long this takes. Maybe you get him on a good discount.